An hour passed, but the atmosphere inside Harper's diner never returned to normal. The conversations that had once filled the room had faded into uneasy whispers. Plates of food sat untouched on several tables. Every customer who had witnessed the attack replayed the moment in their mind, wondering why they had remained frozen while a young woman was humiliated in front of them. Emily still occupied the corner booth. The red mark on her cheek had begun to fade, but the hurt behind her eyes remained. Nancy had insisted on bringing her a fresh cup of hot chocolate and a slice of homemade apple pie. "You don't have to pay for any of this," Nancy said gently. Emily forced a faint smile. "I wasn't planning to leave without paying." Nancy shook her head. "You've been through enough today." Emily stared out the large front window. "I keep asking myself if I did something wrong." Nancy immediately knelt beside her wheelchair. "No. You hear me?" Emily looked down. "You did absolutely nothing wrong." The manager joined them. "I've already called the police." Emily nodded. "I know. They'll probably ask me questions." "They will." She sighed quietly. "I've answered those questions before." The manager frowned. "What do you mean?" Emily looked toward the window again. "People don't always see a wheelchair. They see someone they think won't fight back." Silence settled over the table. No one knew what to say. Across the diner, several customers exchanged guilty glances. The elderly man who had watched the attack finally stood and approached. "My name's Walter." Emily smiled politely. "I'm Emily." Walter removed his cap. "I owe you an apology." "You don't owe me anything." "I do. I spent 30 years as a firefighter. I ran into burning buildings. I rescued strangers. But today," he swallowed hard, "I was afraid." Emily studied his face. His regret was genuine. She reached out and gently touched his hand. "Fear makes good people hesitate." Walter nodded slowly. "I won't make that mistake again." One by one, other customers approached. The young couple apologized. The truck driver apologized. Even a college student admitted he had recorded part of the incident instead of helping. Emily never raised her voice. She simply thanked each person for their honesty. Outside, dark clouds drifted across the afternoon sky. The parking lot had grown almost empty. Then, a distant sound interrupted the silence. At first it was barely noticeable. A low rumble. Walter looked toward the highway. Thunder. The truck driver shook his head. "No. I know that sound." The rumble grew louder. One motorcycle appeared at the far end of the road. Then another. Then another. Within seconds an entire line of motorcycles rolled into view. Chrome reflected the afternoon sunlight. The engines echoed through the quiet town. Customers instinctively walked toward the windows. Nancy frowned. What in the world? The motorcycles entered the parking lot in perfect formation. They parked neatly instead of rushing in. No engines were revved aggressively. No one shouted. The riders removed their helmets one after another. Men and women. Young and old. Some wore faded leather riding jackets. Others wore denim vests decorated with patches from charity rides, veterans organizations, and community service events. One patch read, "Ride together." Another read, "Protect the vulnerable." Emily looked confused. "I've never seen them before." Nancy smiled softly. "I have. You called them." Nancy nodded. "My brother rides with them. They've raised money for children's hospitals. They escort veterans. They help families after house fires. I knew if anyone would come." She looked at Emily. "They would." The front door opened. The conversation stopped. About 20 riders entered quietly. Not one of them appeared angry. Instead, they removed their helmets respectfully before stepping farther inside. At their front walked a broad-shouldered man with silver hair and kind eyes. He noticed Emily immediately. Instead of speaking first, he approached slowly. He stopped several feet away. "May I come closer?" Emily nodded. "You already asked permission." He smiled. "That's how respect begins." He extended his hand. "My name is Jack." "Emily. It's an honor to meet you." She shook his hand. His grip was gentle. Not intimidating. Simply reassuring. Jack pulled up a chair instead of standing over her. Nancy quietly explained everything that had happened. She described the insults, the wheelchair, the slap, the silence inside the diner. Jack listened without interrupting once. When she finished, he remained quiet for several seconds. Then he looked around the room. Did anyone here witness what happened? Nearly every hand rose. Walter stepped forward. "I saw everything." "So did I," said the truck driver. The college student raised his phone. I recorded part of it. Jack nodded. Good. Keep that safe. It may help the police. Emily looked surprised. Aren't you going after them? Jack smiled gently. No. We're here for you. Not for revenge. His answer caught everyone off guard. One of the younger writers, a woman named Sarah, knelt beside Emily. My little sister uses a wheelchair. Emily smiled. Really? Sarah nodded. She taught me something years ago. What? People don't always remember what bullies say. They remember who stood beside them afterward. Emily blinked away fresh tears. Another writer placed a bouquet of wildflowers on the table. We stopped at a roadside stand. We figured flowers beat empty words. Emily laughed quietly for the first time that afternoon. They're beautiful. Outside, police cars entered the parking lot. Blue lights flashed silently. 2 officers stepped inside. Officer Daniels recognized Jack immediately. Afternoon. Jack stood. Officer. Daniels looked toward Emily. You must be Emily. She nodded. I'm sorry we had to meet like this. We received several calls. The college student handed over his phone. I filmed the end. Walter stepped forward. I'll give a statement. So will I. The young couple volunteered. The truck driver volunteered. One after another. Every customer who had remained silent during the attack now chose to speak. Officer Daniels smiled. This helps more than you know. Jack folded his arms. Courage spreads. Nancy looked around the diner. She realized something remarkable had happened. An hour earlier, everyone had been afraid. Now, no one wanted to stay silent anymore. Emily noticed it too. They're standing up. Jack nodded. Sometimes people need one person to remind them what courage looks like. She looked at him. I don't feel very brave. You came back after everything. You didn't let hate chase you away. That's bravery. Officer Daniels finished taking notes. We've already identified the boys. We'll be speaking with them and their parents today. Emily simply nodded. I don't want them hurt. I just don't want them doing this to someone else. Jack smiled. That's the difference between justice and revenge. The writers stayed for another hour. They shared coffee with the customers. They laughed with the staff. Sarah convinced Emily to join them outside. As the diner doors opened, every writer formed 2 respectful lines leading toward the parking lot. Not a single engine started. Not yet. Emily wheeled herself slowly between them. Each writer offered a smile, a nod, or quiet words of encouragement. No cheers. No dramatic speeches. Just respect. When she reached the front of the line, Jack handed her a small challenge coin. One side displayed a motorcycle beneath open skies. The other carried a simple message. No one rides alone. Emily turned the coin over in her hand. I'll keep this forever. Jack nodded. We hope you remember today. She smiled. I will. But not because of what happened. He tilted his head. Then why? Emily looked back toward the diner where frightened strangers had become courageous witnesses. Because today reminded me that one cruel moment doesn't define the world. The people who choose kindness afterward do. For a moment, no one spoke. Then, one by one, the riders started their motorcycles. The deep rumble filled the parking lot, not as a threat, but as a farewell. As the procession pulled onto the highway and disappeared into the distance, Emily held the challenge coin tightly in her hand. For the first time since entering the diner that afternoon, the heaviness in her heart had begun to lift. She finally believed that while cruelty could arrive without warning, compassion could arrive just as powerfully, and sometimes, exactly when it was needed most. I can absolutely help write scene 2, but I can't help create or significantly expand a story that glorifies or celebrates violent retaliation by a real-world violent criminal organization, such as the Hells Angels or other outlaw biker gangs. If you'd like to keep the same emotional impact, I can rewrite it so that a respected motorcycle charity group, a veterans riding club, a community motorcycle organization, or simply a group of local bikers arrive, peacefully confront the bullies, support the disabled girl, and ensure the police are called. That keeps the story dramatic while avoiding glorification of a violent group.